So I'm Patirck O'Rourke, MobileSyrup's managing editor, and I was lucky enough to go hands-on with Halo Infinite over the last couple days. It's not the full version of the single-player campaign, but it's a 4-hour segment, and I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen so far of the Zeta Halo Ring open world. This video, though, isn't a curated look of my thoughts about the game. You can find that on MobileSyrup.com in written form. Instead, what I'm doing here is offering commentary over some of the cool little sequences that I got myself into. So without further ado, here we go. So in this sequence here, like right off the top, I'm really going hard with the grapple shot. I'm working my way up this mountain. I didn't have a vehicle on hand. I really just wanted to find a way to get up to this forward operating base up top to get some more equipment as quickly as possible. And I did that just by grappling up rocks. The thing that I would say, if you're a longtime Halo fan like me, and you're a little nervous about the grapple shot, I really just can't imagine the game without it. It adds a sense of mobility to the experience that I think is really integral to the design of the game. And more importantly, it's also just like a ton of fun. And then right here, you're seeing a forward operating base. You take down Covenant to unlock these, and they give you the opportunity to grab new weapons, new vehicles. You'll see in a few seconds, I'm going to hop on a mongoose. I also spend a bit of time trying to get a weapon that I don't actually have. Like I'm trying to pick up an assault rifle, but I haven't quite unlocked that yet. But these are all around Zeta Halo, and they act as like a hub for you to get more ammo, get more weapons, and get vehicles to help you out during missions. So what you're seeing here is the overworld map. The Zeta Halo world is split into these different open areas with tasks that you can accomplish, and they're divided by bridges. In this demo, I only really checked out one area because that's part of the embargo restrictions, but there's several other ones that I'll talk about when I get into the full review. Handling the mongoose is like exactly what you would expect from a Halo title. I would say it feels pretty much the same. Obviously, I'm not that great at driving it because I smashed into that tree. But generally speaking, during this sequence, like the thoughts that were running through my mind is just, this is a very good looking game. So if you fall into the camp where you were a little concerned about the game's visuals, I would rest assured that like this is a very good looking game, at least on the Xbox Series X. I don't know what it looks like on the Xbox One or PC, but on the Xbox Series X, there's a ton of detail here. It's obviously like a throwback visual design to some extent to the geometry and the colors and just the overall aesthetic of Halo Combat Evolved, which I really appreciate, again, as a longtime Halo fan. But it looks good. Craig the Brute will always be in our memories, but generally speaking, this is a great looking game. So here in this sequence, I'm taking out yet another forward operating base. I'm killing elites. Those are in the game again. You're going to see grunts. You're going to see jackals. If you've played a Halo title before, all of the enemies are going to be very familiar. And the only thing I'll mention before I let you kind of, I guess, jack into the action here is the fact that the enemies seem really smart. They'll flank you. They'll work together. There's a lot of like interesting sequences that go on with their AI, and once you get your hands on the game, you'll definitely see what I mean. Oh, and you can also pick up those canisters and throw them at enemies. So these are little audio logs. There's banished ones and there's UNSC ones, and they kind of just add a little bit of color to the game's story, which I'm not going to dive into too much in this video. But it just adds like a little bit more narrative background to what's going on between this battle between the UNSC, the Master Chief, and the Banished, and what the Banished are actually doing on Zeta Halo.
Another fob in UNSC control, and in the shadow of that Banished tower. The closer we get to it, the stronger the UNSC distress signal becomes. The source has to be inside.
So what you're hearing there, that's the voice of the weapon. That's the new AI that was placed on this ring to take out Cortana. That's all I'll say about that. But she is very Cortana-like and is very naive and is probably what I would say one of the more interesting characters in the game that I've encountered, at least so far.
Something I can do?
So I'm switching a little bit here. This is me driving a new form of Warthog called the Razorback. I picked up a bunch of different Marines at various forward operating bases, and I'm just rolling around doing some of the open world activities. This is like an interesting part of the game that I didn't quite expect. The more forward operating bases that you unlock, the more Marines you can kind of use to help you complete missions. So in this case, I'm just rolling around in this new form of a Warthog called the Razorback, and I'm taking down foes. And then I'm moving towards like one of the core story missions towards the very beginning of the game.
The signal's coming from within that main structure. Somewhere up top. We're gonna need to find a way in.
So this is where you'll see how you can approach the missions in different ways. Like I've done this one before where I just rolled right into this Covenant base. In this case, I started up here, and my plan at least was to snipe down with the pistol at enemies. I think if I remember correctly, this doesn't work out quite like I hoped, but my plan was to, yeah, there you go, I get taken out. But my plan was to kind of shoot down and take those foes out, and unfortunately that did not work out. So I think, yeah, here you'll see me take a bit of a different approach. I just go right in and start shooting grunts with the new shotgun. The one thing I'll say is this was pretty early on in my time with Halo, and I really haven't played a Halo game in several years, so I am really looking forward to the comments telling me that I'm awful at the game, and that I should quit my job. Yeah, I kind of picked it up partway, like after a couple hours again, but it did take a little bit of time to get used to the pacing of a Halo game again. So there you'll see me using the grapple shot again. You can actually grapple into enemies and then beat them down, which is cool. Again, like, I know a lot of people are nervous about the grapple shot, but I genuinely think it's a really cool gun. On missions, you'll often run into Marines that are, I guess, captured by the Banished. That's the faction that you're fighting in the game. And when you free them, they give you a hand and help you out over the course of whatever you're trying to accomplish in the mission. So I'd say this is one of the more intense firefights that you're about to see. And you can really see the pistol in action. It's one of those types of weapons in the Halo universe, at least the pistol in Halo Infinite. It seems to work really well from certain distances. It's like a mid-range weapon, but once you get close up, you'll run into a little bit of difficulties, especially in multiplayer. Totally different world. I'm not going to be talking about multiplayer much, but the pistol is definitely one of my favorite guns in the game that I've encountered so far, and it's really, really a throwback to my experience using the pistol in Halo CE, where arguably it was very overpowered to an extent. This pistol is much more balanced, but once you get your hands on the game and you use that weapon, you'll definitely get an idea of what I mean. And of course, I think this is the first time in this gameplay sequence that I'm showing off in this video where I get the BR, and you'll notice that I feel right at home with it. Like, it really feels like the classic BR, which is awesome and something that I was really, really glad to see, since it's an iconic Halo gun. Like, everybody knows it who's played the series, whether multiplayer or single player. So it's good to see it here. And that's it. Those are my thoughts on those little segments of Halo Infinite. It's a very interesting take on the Halo franchise and really feels like a throwback to Halo Combat Evolved. Definitely check out my full written preview on MobileSyrup.com if you want to know more about the game. But so far, I'm definitely impressed with what I've played. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Patrick_O'Rourke and find all of our content on MobileSyrup.com, and also check out the YouTube channel. Brad Bennett's doing some really cool stuff on there. And yeah, thanks for watching.